Right now on 7 News at 4, we have breaking news. So much to get to, but first, the decision from the U.S. Supreme Court today that could affect the future of women's health for millions of Americans.
The court sided with the state of Mississippi and moved to eliminate the constitutional right to abortion. Skylar Henry has more on the decision and reaction.
Protesters erupted outside the Supreme Court after the justices ruled to overturn Roe v. Wade.
I kept hoping for the best, but it's clear that these justices don't care about the majority of Americans and their voices.
This is going to be like history. This is just the beginning of, the pro-life generation, being there for women, for the unborn.
Writing for the majority, Justice Samuel Alito said the Constitution does not confer a right to abortion. Chief Justice John Roberts joined the other 5 conservatives in upholding Mississippi's abortion ban, but wrote he would have stopped short of overruling Roe outright.
It's a sad day for the court and for the country.
President Biden called the decision wrong and extreme.
Now, with Roe gone, let's be very clear. The health and life of women in this nation are now at risk.
The court's 3 liberals agreed, writing they dissented with sorrow for the many millions of American women who have today lost a fundamental constitutional protection. The court's ruling wasn't a surprise. It had been forecast several weeks ago following a leaked draft indicating which way the justices were leaning. The decision is expected to lead to abortion bans in roughly half the states.
This decision is a victory for the pro-life movement and for the generations of Americans who never gave up hope.
The ruling puts the court at odds with a majority of Americans. CBS News polling found 2/3 wanted the court to leave Roe v. Wade in place, as it has been for nearly half a century. Skylar Henry, CBS News, at the Supreme Court.
Governor Henry McMaster, weighing in, issued a statement following the Supreme Court ruling. He says, by the end of the day, we will file motions so that the Fetal Heartbeat Act will go into effect in South Carolina, and immediately begin working with members of the General Assembly to determine the best solution for protection and protecting the lives of unborn South Carolinians.
The governor of North Carolina, Roy Cooper, also had something to say. Here's his statement. In part, it reads, for 50 years, women have relied on their constitutional right to make their own medical decisions. But today, that right has been tragically ripped away. He also continues, I will continue to trust women to make their own medical decisions as we fight to keep politicians out of the doctor's exam room. Other local lawmakers, of course, are reacting to this huge Supreme Court decision, along with health agencies, too. 7 News' Sophia Radabaugh shows us more.
A federal Supreme Court ruling is expected to lead to abortion bans in roughly half the states. South Carolina lawmakers are weighing in now that the power is in their hands.
Attorney General Alan Wilson expressed his support for the decision in a statement saying, quote, I have always thought Roe v. Wade was bad policy, was wrongly decided, and not supported by the Constitution. But Democratic lawmakers in the state are voicing their opposition to the vote. Majority Whip of the U.S. House of Representatives James Clyburn tweeted, quote, today's Supreme Court of the United States ruling further establishes right-wing Republican justices' radical disregard for individual rights and settled precedent. We also spoke with a pregnancy center who says for them, this is a huge victory.
We were just crazy excited that, all the babies that are going to get to live now, and yet, we grieve the ones who lost their life before this great decision.
Planned Parenthood sent a statement to us saying, quote, lawmakers need to stay out of the personal decisions of patients, their families, and their providers, especially when the overwhelming majority of South Carolina residents support the legal right to obtain an abortion.
Several pregnancy centers in the upstate that I've spoken to say they are increasing their security for tonight for any planned protests that could happen. In Greenville, Sophia Radabaugh, 7 News.
South Carolina Representative Todd Rutherford sent out a statement expressing concern that there's already a committee at the State House working on an abortion ban without exceptions for rape, incest, or to protect the life of the mother. State leaders in North Carolina also have the power to change abortion laws. They don't have that trigger law which prevents bans and abortions after 30 days of pregnancy. Instead, it has a law that bans abortions after 20 weeks, with some exceptions, which has been in effect for decades.
It's been bad law for 50 years, and I'm excited to finally see this day.
The right to abortion and the right to health care is really on the ballot this November. I hope that, even though this decision is devastating, I hope that it will motivate people to come out and vote.
Republicans say they are not rolling out any new restrictions now because they know Democratic Governor Roy Cooper will veto them, and they don't have the votes to override him.
Well, the Peach State also does not have trigger laws, but state lawmakers say abortion rights will play a crucial role during the midterm elections in November.
So this is a great day for protecting life at all stages, whether the elderly, whether the disabled, and in this particular case for unborn daughters and sons.
I'm still processing the decision. It is way worse than we ever imagined that it could be. It basically strips rights that women have had for half a century.
Georgia's controversial heartbeat bill, which bans abortion 6 weeks into pregnancy, was struck down by a federal court in 2020. Also breaking this afternoon, the U.S. House of Representatives has passed a landmark gun violence bill after the mass shooting at a Texas school. Now, this bill will toughen the requirements for young people to buy guns and allow authorities to temporarily take weapons away from people who are considered to be dangerous. This bill now heads to the president's desk. We'll have more on this story in the second half hour.
7 News meteorologist Dan Bickford is standing by as we take a peek outside. How's it looking, Dan?
It doesn't look too bad. We had a lot of clouds early, then the sun came out. Now that we're heating up a little bit, starting to see some isolated showers and a couple of thunderstorms develop in the mountains of western North Carolina. One cloud ground lightning strike in northwestern Buncombe County. Everything moving to the southeast about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Slow motion, so the main threat is going to be some locally heavy rain on any of these cells. Temperatures are noticeably cooler than yesterday, but we're still very warm. Right now we're running from mid-80s to near 90 in the upstate, upper 70s in the mountains. For tonight, we'll be in and out of some cloud cover, temperatures falling through the 70s in the upstate. We'll see some lower 70s tomorrow morning, 60s in the mountains with some patchy fog. Might see an isolated shower overnight, mainly in the mountains. Take a look at what you can expect for the weekend coming up in just a little bit.
We're learning more tonight about a deadly shooting that killed a Spartanburg County deputy. Sheriff Chuck Wright explained how the scenario involving a domestic violence report unfolded. Our Janie Bowman was there.
Sheriff Chuck Wright gave an emotional update, sharing what led up to Deputy Aldridge's death and thanking the community for their support throughout the week. Spartanburg County Sheriff Chuck Wright says it's been an emotional week as the department mourns Deputy Austin Aldridge. On Friday, Sheriff Wright recalled the deputy's final moments. The sheriff says Kimberly Hurd came to the department Tuesday to report a domestic violence incident. While deputies took her statement at the department, Deputy Aldridge went to the Hurd's home on Chaffee Road. Sheriff Wright says Deputy Aldridge knocked on the door to take Dwayne Hurd's statement. When the door opened, Hurd shot Deputy Aldridge. Then he left, heading down Anderson Mill Road. Sheriff Wright says deputies eventually stopped Hurd, who then ran off into the woods. SWAT and canines found Hurd in the woods and took him into custody. Sheriff Wright says in those moments, his deputies showed restraint.
As hard as that is, I'm praying for the Hurd family, because I promise you, I did not want him to make it to the hospital. Our men and women had every opportunity to fix this problem down in the woods, and they did not do it because they know that we're no better than them if we do.
Sheriff Wright says he's grateful for the outpouring of support from the community. He hopes people continue to lift up the Aldridge family. In Spartanburg, Janie Bowman, 7 News.
Right now, Hurd is still in the hospital. He's charged with murder and possession of a weapon during a violent crime.
Now, there will be a candlelight vigil tonight in honor of Deputy Austin Aldridge. Now, 7 News' Alessandra Young joins us live from outside the sheriff's office with more. Alessandra?
Good afternoon. The vigil for Deputy Aldridge will be held here at the sheriff's office tonight at 8:30. Now, the amount of flowers, balloons, and items on his patrol car have been growing through the week. Sheriff Chuck Wright tells me his patrol car will be parked here until after his funeral. was parked here Wednesday, and more people have been coming to pay their respects. I spoke with a woman visiting, and she says the entire community is heartbroken over the loss of this fallen hero, but the entire community is standing together.
I'm so proud of this community for what they've done and the outpouring that they've showed.
If you can't make the vigil tonight, we will be live streaming it on our website at WPSA.com and on our 7 News app. For now, live in Spartanburg County, Alessandra Young, 7 News.
Thanks, Allie, for that live report. Now, Deputy Aldridge's funeral service is being held on Sunday at the Church at the Mill. That is on Anderson Mill Road in Moore. You can watch that service live at WPSA.com and on our 7 News app starting at 4 p.m. The latest in the January 6th hearing as top DOJ leaders take the stand.
And very warm and humid through the weekend. Just a small chance of a few pop-up storms, mainly in the mountains. But a little bit of a weather pattern change for next week means more rain and cooler air. We'll talk about that coming up.